Hey everybody, get in here. Asher here with some Hearthstone news. Patron Warrior is dead. Didski, gone, nerfed into oblivion with, right here you see on your screen, the words from the horse's mouth, or Zeria's mouth. Warsong Commander now reads, your charge minions have +1 attack. No more auto charge given to anything and anyone that comes into the foray. No more charge for spawning patrons or any patrons at all. No more Frothing Berserker. Just the entire wombo combo for the deck archetype is gone, and with it, Patron Warrior. So that is the kind of thing that a lot of people in the community have been clamoring for a while, and I guess it's the changes you've been able to see on the horizon. You may have noticed while laddering that you don't hardly see Patron anymore. I think I can count on one hand the number of patrons that I've faced the past 2 seasons sub-rank 5. But the bigger thing is that when you have interviews with like Ben Broad says that charge is a problematic mechanic, and even in the statement here, and I'm not seeing it directly on this screen, but that they want to change Warsong Commander. This change is necessary to help expand future design space and to stand by our overarching philosophy that battles between minions and fighting for board controls make what's Hearthstone fun and compelling. I guess that's, well, I mean, it's Blizzard's game, so they're always going to have the choice. And with Hearthstone, where the closest thing you have to interrupt mechanics or secrets, which not even every class has, I think Warsong Commander was the prime target to get nerfed to the ground. So maybe this could be better for days to come. I don't know, neither here or there. But let's talk about not so much Patron, because Patron's dead probably next week, as the patch will be released here. Let's talk about the living, as we still have the options screen on there. Apologies. Now that we can just look at what kind of decks might actually rise to the occasion because of the dismantling of our good friend Patron. Now if we just look at, let's just look at the class icons here, because that'll make it a little bit easier. You may say to yourself, oh good, this is a buff to Shaman. That's great. You may say, oh, this is a buff to Hunter. It uses a buff to Priest, because anything that can be obliterated by the Frothing Berserker Wombo combo, or anything that gets punished for flooding the board with patrons, that is going to see a buff necessarily. But unfortunately, poor Shamans, you're not really going to get into work, because the class that stands to get the most out of this change is Paladin. And as we all know, Uther Lightbringer is definitely in a hard spot right now. We all know that Secret Paladin is just a gimmick deck that's not going to work for very long. Mid-range with just a card filling a bunch of tokens on the board is not very powerful because they're 1/1s. And hopefully you can tell the sarcasm there, because Paladin is just going to get a huge rise out of this. Zoo to a lesser extent for Warlock, but definitely Paladin stands to gain the most, because Patron was one of its more problematic matchups in the multiple archetypes that you'd see, except for Control Paladin, which you'd hardly see. So Paladin stands to gain a lot, and there's already a bunch of Paladins on the board. That means that Shaman's worst matchup got even worse. So poor Thrall, still going to be stuck in the bottom tier, also known as the Shaman tier. So if you are looking forward to kind of how things are going to shift, expect to see a significant rise in decks that didn't necessarily match up very well versus Patron. But one deck that probably could benefit from the probable flood of aggro that's going to come into play because of the Patron nerf is Freeze Mage. Freeze Mage, a deck that I've featured on this channel a little bit, one that you're probably familiar with. It plays kind of passively. It doesn't have the one-turn hit-kill thing, but it does very good against aggro, and had a very problematic matchup with Patron, especially with being able to keep up versus the Armoring Up plus the Frothing Berserker combo. So Freeze Mage could kind of be your deck to sneak in there and make it work. Of course, it's not a cheap deck, so you can make it work from there. And I guess that's one of the unfortunate things about Patron Warrior, is that it was a relatively inexpensive deck to make. And while it had an incredibly high skill cap, I think numbers say about a 35 to 40% win rate in ranked play on ladder, a lot of people tried to pilot the deck, but it didn't do very well because they weren't very skilled with it. The problem is that at the highest level of play, Patron was really in control. So I do think the nerf is justified. Unfortunately, I do have flashbacks to even Diablo 2 days, where Blizzard would not just nerf lightly, they nerf hard, fast, and they mean it. But that's where it stands right now. I do think that there is going to be not as much a shift as you think maybe in ranked play, because you weren't really seeing a lot of Patron Warriors to begin with, unless you were already legendary or kind of up in the rank 5+ trying to get there. But I do think this is going to cause some people to react the other way. You'll get Hunters, you'll get Paladins. But the change to Warsong Commander, let's just look at this one more time. This is not in the realm of like nerfing Sylvanas by increasing her cost by 1. This isn't like the changes to Unleash the Hounds. Look them up. Unleash the Hounds used to be a lot more powerful than it is now. This is very much a Gadget Zan Auctioneer, very much a Starving Buzzard style nerf. Warsong Commander, unless you can somehow make Charge Aggro Warrior work, and if it had +2 attack, then Warsong Commander may be a little bit too powerful for that archetype. Well, you know what? The age of Patron is over, and the galaxy is not at peace. Or it is at peace. I don't know. It's Hearthstone. It's supposed to be a fun game. But that's it for now. This is Asher. Thanks for watching. And we'll stay tuned with more Hearthstone and see kind of where things shake up from here. Take care.